Hi friends, this is Akshita from the channel Tech Girl. Today we will begin with the concepts and overview of SAPUI5. If you Google SAPUI5, you will be able to get a lot of theoretical information. But today I have brought you something interesting in a diagrammatical and compact format so that you can grasp it very easily. So let's go ahead with this. The topics we are going to cover in this session is the key components of SAPUI5, features of SAPUI5, concept of MVC, types of views, types of models, and SAP architecture. So, what is basically SAPUI5? It is a development tool from SAP Toolkit. So, what is this toolkit now? So, toolkit, we'll understand it when we'll go into the practicals further. But it is same as the development tool like Visual Studio or any other development tool. So, this SAPUI5 consists of some languages. Which languages we can use in SAPUI5? They are XML, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and jQuery. XML is Extensible Markup Language. It is used to code the screen logic or the UI interface screen of SAPUI5. JavaScript, we can use it for coding the user interface, but it is not recommended so. It is used for coding the controller, that is the logic behind the screen. What is CSS? CSS, as all you know, that is cascading style sheet. It beautifies the screen, makes the screen look beautiful with all new features in it. And then HTML. HTML is not recommended for coding in SAPUI5, but yes, we can use it for debugging. jQuery, yes, it is a theoretically it is a type of SAPUI5 language, but technically I haven't used it yet. So now the features of SAPUI5. The first feature of SAPUI5 is it runs on any device. That is basically SAP Web IDE is a cloud platform. It is the development tool of SAPUI5 is SAP Web IDE, which is a cloud platform, and it can work on any device. We can log in into that session, and we can have all the code in a mobile screen also, and we can view and run the code in a mobile screen also. So it is platform independent. And third is it is one-time development cost and effort. That is for mobile phones. Like we have different platforms like Android and iOS. For Android, we have to code in Android Studio. For iOS, we have to code in Xcode. So these are the two double efforts which you have to take in any other languages when we code for different UI. But in SAPUI5, we have the same code which works in both the platforms. Then, ability to create complex UI patterns and predefined layouts for typical use cases. Actually, UI5 mostly surrounds around the tables and the data which comes. Most of the projects are like having tables, UI, surrounding around data almost. So we have the SAPUI5 gives you a predefined layouts or templates which you can directly get from that, and we can have the same layout throughout the structure. Then comes model view controller, that is MVC, and data binding, which will move on to further slides. So this is the concept of MVC. What is MVC? M stands for model, V stands for view, and C stands for controller. So what is model basically? Model is a temporary data or a data container. The main database structure, you don't have to confuse between a model and database. Database is the main permanent storage which we have with us for the whole project. But model is a data container. Some sort of data which we need for a time being is saved into the model and used over there, which is a temporary data, a model which is created from the permanent data is called as model. What is then comes view. So view is user interface screen, which actually normally whatever the user sees on the screen is the user interface, which is called as view. And then comes the controller. Controller is the business logic or the logic behind the view, or the functions which are set for the view is called as controller. In the practical, we'll know better. So, this is the architecture of MVC, how MVC works. So, first example we take is the view. Consider that there is a button on a view and the user clicks on that button. So that click action is the user action which is performed by the user. That click action is sent to the controller. The controller updates it and finds that function, that click function has some pop-up, and that pop-up is getting updated into the view, and hence after clicking on the button the user gets an update of pop-up. So this is the first example between the view and the controller. Now we'll see what is the connection between the view, model and controller. So controller handles all the functions, that is clear. So now view and model. We'll take a second example. So in that we have some table, structure of table in the view. So in that table there is some data. So from where does this data we get? So there is a main database table from where we fetch the data from. That data is fetched into a form of model which then binds to the view, and then the data is shown in the view. So first the model is notified into the controller, and then the controller fetches the data from the database and updated into the model. So the specific amount of data which it needs from the database is gained into the model, and that model data is set into the view, which is called as data binding. Now comes the types of views. As before, I told you that views is the user interface of the screen. So there are 4 types of views. That is, we have 4 types of views in which we can code. Like we can have .xml file of view, .html, .javascript, that is .js file, and .json file. Most recommended way to make the views is XML, because it is a markup language and we can have the controller part of it into the controller part with JavaScript. So the most recommended language is XML for making views. So as if you have used the Java coding, then we have import statements in it. But in SAPUI5, similar to it, we have library functions, which is SAPUI.core.mvc.xml view used for XML with HTML mixed or standalone. You can use this library. For JavaScript, we can use sap.ui.core.mvc.js view, the same as .json view, same for HTML view. Now we'll know about the types of models. I told you that model is a temporary data used for getting the data into the view. So now there are 3 types of models. The most recommended again are OData and JSON model. XML model is used very rarely in some of the projects. I have not used it technically in any project. Now we'll focus on OData. So what is OData? OData is a server-side model. It has two-way data binding and it's used for use data. So OData, I'll give an example for OData, that is Facebook feeds and notification. Every time we enter into the application, we have new feeds, new notifications on there. It is refreshed every time. So this data is gained from the OData service. Again, what is OData service? We'll know when we do the practicals. OData service is mainly the URL which loads data. So from that URL we can fetch the data, a huge amount of data, mainly from OData service. So now comes JSON. What is JSON model? JSON model is a very small data when we want to update a small data, or it is in client side model. Again, it is a two-way data binding in at client side model. So for example, any chatting service, when the internet connectivity is down or it is closed, and we put a message to another user, then the message is typed but it is not sent to the other user. So that message is saved until it is saved on the client side until it is sent to the server side. So that data is called as JSON data. Now XML, moving forward to XML. XML model of data binding supports XML data. So this is also a two-way data binding. So all the three models are two-way data binding, and the difference between OData and JSON is that it is server side and JSON is client side. Now we'll come to the SAPUI5 architecture. So here it is given in a very diagrammatical format, so you can understand it very easily. So here is first is the application servers down below there. They are NetWeaver as ABAP, NetWeaver as Java, NetWeaver as Cloud, SAP HANA Extended Application Service. These are the application server which is used for SAP UI5. And the most important thing which we have to learn now at this point of time is the other areas, which are SAP backend and database. The database which is used for the main purpose, that is the permanent data which is saved into it of whole application, is called the SAP backend and database. This database can be in any format. It can be in MySQL, SQL, or any format. And from this database we can fetch the data which we want at that point of time into a form of model. So that three type of models are JSON model, XML model, or OData model. We can use any model out of it. Then from these models, the controller fetches the data and puts in the views. So the views are like any view we can have in phones, tablets, desktops, laptops, any view, and the SAP UI5 libraries and controls are used in these views. So basically the main important thing is that sap.m.library is a library which is used for phones or mobile phones. So that is sap.mobile.library, and for desktops or laptops we use sap.ui.commons library. So this is the main part of SAP UI5 architecture and the controls. So now in a very simplified manner I have made this diagram to make you understand that what is the relation between the database, model, and views. So as you can see here, we fetch the data from the database to the format of model, and from the format of model it is seen into the view. So this is yours for today, and yeah, this is the small compact pattern of what SAP UI5 is. And if you like my video, please like it, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any doubts related to the video or any suggestions for me, how can I improve in it, then please comment below in the comment section. We'll meet in our further videos. Till then, bye bye and have a good day.